What do the games Diddy Kong Racing, Einhander, and Quake 3 all have in common? These three amazing games were all reviewed back in 1998, but they were not that year's best games. At least, not according to Next Generation Magazine, who gave all three of these undisputed classics 4 stars out of 5. As crazy as it sounds, Next Generation gave 19 different games a higher score than Tomb Raider 2. I'm talking about the perfect 5-star rating. And today we're going to go through all of these reviews to see what makes them worthy of this coveted prize. This is Next Generation's 5-star reviews, and these are the 19 best games of 1998. Alright, kicking off the list at number 1, we have 1080 Degree Snowboarding on the Nintendo 64. Less than a month after the disappointing Yoshi story, Nintendo gets back into shape with 1080 Degree Snowboarding, a game best described as wave race on the rocks. While not as groundbreaking as Mario 64 or Wave Race, 1080 Snowboarding simply does everything just right. From the fast and beautiful graphics to the thoroughly designed tracks, the game delivers the most satisfying snowboarding experience on any system yet. The excellent feel and wealth of features easily made us cast a blind eye to the relatively low number of courses and the occasional pop-up and clipping. With 1080 Degree Snowboarding, Nintendo delivers another system seller and once again sets the standard for the entire genre. Number 2, Bushido Blade 2 on the PlayStation. Square has always had the unique ability to push the limits of a genre with every game it creates. Nothing illustrates this better than the sequels like the Final Fantasy games or Tobal 2, which are essentially identical games with vastly improved technology and plots taken from a new angle. In the case of Bushido Blade 2, that philosophy is taken to a new extreme. So much so, in fact, that the result actually bears little resemblance to the original game. Bushido Blade 2 isn't an easy game to classify. As a sequel, it may alienate fans of Bushido Blade 1 who were anxious for more of the same. But nonetheless, kudos to Square for trying a different approach to begin with and for refining it in such a fearless manner. Excellent! Number 3, Colony Wars on the PlayStation. Those who have watched the epic space battles of Star Wars, Star Trek, or Babylon 5 and fantasized about piloting a fighter of their own will have their dreams realized by playing Colony Wars. The game offers more than 70 potential missions, which, much like Wing Commander, unfold during a non-linear story that can lead up to 6 different endings. A technological marvel, Colony Wars seems to redefine what is possible on the PlayStation. The special effects used throughout are both eye-popping and superior to just about everything else that's come before it on any platform. Simply put, this game is not to be missed. Number 4, Die by the Sword on the PC. Die by the Sword is essentially 2 games in one. An adventure mode that could stand by itself as a game of Tomb Raider standards, and a fighting engine that compares well to most modern brawlers. Die by the Sword's humorous slant on the all-too-serious fantasy genre is a welcome relief. In most respects, it's everything the games like Death Trap Dungeon aspire to be. Tantrum has innovated in both story and gameplay at a time when most game companies are churning out derivative sequels and clones. Well, the gamble paid off. This title should not be missed by anyone seeking immaculately done fantasy action. Recommended. Number 5, F-Zero X on the Nintendo 64. When Nintendo launched the N64 with Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wing 64, the company effectively set the stage for a series of stunning updates of classic NES and Super NES games. Both titles managed to completely satisfy fans of the original and at the same time attract a new, younger audience with flashy graphics and involving gameplay. But it didn't take long for the first chink to appear in the Mighty N's armor. Mario Kart 64, while true to its predecessor in many respects, simply didn't raise the bar in any way and lacked the balance and playability that most Nintendo titles are known for. F-Zero X is no Mario Kart 64. Like Wave Race or Sony's Gran Turismo, the game stands out among other racers with perfectly tuned control and a number of innovations. From the rock and guitar tunes to the insanely addictive Grand Prix races, the game is a blast. Number 6, Gran Turismo on the PlayStation. Gran Turismo is simply the most incredible racing game ever to grace a console system. No detail was overlooked in the game's design, and it shines through in every facet of the game, no matter how you look at it. As a racing simulation, Gran Turismo is unmatched. The controls are tight, and with the analog controller, they're the most realistic seen to date on a console. The physics engine is dead on, and once players get used to the nuances of driving cars at high speeds under true conditions, it's very intuitive. Gran Turismo is a class act, and it raises the bar for racing games on almost every level. Our highest possible recommendation. Number 7, Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation. Every once in a while, a game comes along that forces you to redefine what video games are all about. Sometimes it just looks better than everything else on the market. Sometimes it just plays better. And sometimes it's just so different that it defies comparison to anything else. Metal Gear Solid does all of the above, living up to the hype and proving itself to be the pinnacle of PlayStation gaming. There are precious few games in the world that end up living up to the hype when they are released, especially when they've been hyped as much as this one. However, rest assured that this is a game that no player should miss, and it's the best reason yet to own a PlayStation. Number 8, Monster Rancher on the PlayStation. The virtual pet craze has finally hit the US console market in this gem from Tecmo. The premise is similar to the handheld electronic Tamagotchis in that players take care and nurture an animal to adulthood. However, this is where the similarities end. Not simply limited to how to take care of your monster. The game incorporates a wide variety of options and possibilities, namely combat with other monsters, that give the game an awesome amount of depth. One of the most interesting and unique features of Monster Rancher is the ability to create monsters from music, game, or computer CDs. Players can dial up the appropriate screen, pop in their favorite CD, the game will generate a monster based on what it finds on that disc. This feature alone is guaranteed to send players scrambling around their entire CD collection in an attempt to discover the perfect monster. Number 9, NCAA GameBreaker 98 on the PlayStation. What do you get when you take the best pro football engine on the planet and spend several months tweaking it for a college football game? Obviously, you get the best college football game anywhere. But even more impressively, in this case, you get a game that's actually better than NFL GameDay 98, a feat we didn't expect at all. Sure, NCAA GameBreaker 98 borrows heavily from GameDay, but amazingly, the end result is a football game that has no equal.
You know why you're here, so where were you?
I told you.
You don't want to change your story?
No, I took a TVR Supra.
Ran the Nissan Skyline and a Toyota Supra.
That's right.
And you spun the TV off.
Yes!
There's no record of a missing TVR or a crash with a Skyline or a Supra that night.
Do you want to change your story?
And we're back with number 10, NFL GameDay 99 on PlayStation. Ever since the first GameDay scared EA Sports' Madden game off of the store shelves for a year, Sony's masterpiece has repeatedly proven its dominance over the competition both in technology and gameplay. The adoption of polygonal graphics for GameDay 98 made a great game even better. Had 989 Sports merely released an updated rehash of last year's game, it still would have been the best PlayStation football game available. Instead, the development team re-examined every facet of the game and improved upon it. The result? A revelation. There's really no room for criticism of NFL GameDay 99. It provides everything a gamer could possibly want from a console football title. Number 11, Resident Evil 2 on the PlayStation. Following a long trail of countless delays and whispered rumors of a company in trouble, Capcom's masterpiece sequel of 1996's groundbreaking 3D adventure Resident Evil has finally made the journey from the object of gamer fantasy to the reality of the small screen, and the result goes beyond all expectations to produce one of the most impressive games yet in the PlayStation library of classics. With a greater amount of interactivity characters have with the flawlessly pre-rendered landscape, Resident Evil 2 far surpasses the occasional choppiness of Tomb Raider 2's graphics and even gives Final Fantasy VII a run for its pre-rendered money. Kudos to Capcom for undoubtedly making the must-own title of the year. Number 12, Sid Meier's Gettysburg on PC. Sid Meier's has once again lived up to his considerable reputation in Firax's new Civil War strategy sim, Gettysburg. In contrast to the usual stiff, overly complicated gameplay associated with this genre, Meier's new title plays well enough to stand shoulder to shoulder with the best action strategy games on the market. The key factor that makes this both easy to learn and highly realistic is the intuitive control interface. This simple design conceals a staggering amount of detail, yet still allows players to focus on the finer aspects of tactical strategy. Gettysburg is an excellent first offering from Firaxis. It not only overshadows previous historical sims, but it also bests most of the real-time strategy games available today. Speaking of which, number 13, Starcraft on PC. Starcraft is a perfect example of a game that shines through an exceptional cohesiveness of great design, flawless execution, and enough polish to impress the most jaded PC gamers. In development for more than 2 years, Starcraft is Blizzard's spiritual sequel to the monster hit Warcraft 2, from which it shamelessly steals most of its gameplay elements. Starcraft is one of those rare games that doesn't really do much new, but does everything perfectly. Add in free play on Battle.net, including a built-in ranking system, and you have a good excuse to not touch any other game on your PC for quite a while. It is truly a must-buy for anyone who loves a great game. Number 14, Tekken 3 on PlayStation. The Tekken series has undergone an interesting evolution from Virtua Fighter wannabe to a PlayStation standard. Tekken 2 was a great leap forward, and Tekken 3 makes the same kind of progress. Compromises have been made, but even the most anal arcade fan will be hard-pressed to identify them visually. The polygon count is lower, and some textures have been sacrificed. But Namco has produced a game conversion that looks almost exactly like its parent. Add to this package some good, if mixed, musical themes, and you have the absolute category leader. There is no better fighting game on this system or any other. Number 15, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64. In David Sheff's elaborate expose on Nintendo, Game Over, Shigeru Miyamoto offers some insight on his inspiration for the Zelda series. Recalling his time playing as a boy, the world's most revered game designer reminisces about wandering alone for hours exploring the Kyoto countryside, drawn by the promise of stumbling upon dark caves, secluded lakes, or even tiny villages hidden amongst the mountains. This guiding vision has been realized thoroughly in Zelda Ocarina of Time, the latest and greatest incarnation of the seminal action RPG series. It's possible that this is the Zelda Miyamoto wanted to make all along, with its open, less linear world intensifying the spirit of its gameplay beyond that of its forebears. Here is a game destined to capture the hearts of Nintendo 64 owners the world over, and simultaneously reaffirm the creator's stature as the Spielberg of video games. Number 16, Turok 2: Seeds of Evil on the Nintendo 64. In the story of Acclaim's fall and rise, it's fair to say that one title marked the beginning of a new, more positive chapter. Developed by Iguana, last year's Turok Dinosaur Hunter hammered home the message that things really were changing within the beleaguered company. It also proved to the world that Nintendo was not the sole master of the sparkling new 64-bit technology. The most striking thing about Turok 2 is the vast improvement made in the game's 3D engine. After wading through the dense fog of the original, the open layout of Turok 2's first level is a nice surprise. Overall, Turok 2 is a real blast. The technical, AI, and design advancements over the original make it an absolute must-have. Number 17, Unreal on PC. Well, it's been a long time coming. The Unreal project was delayed almost as much as Nintendo's Zelda 64. Adding to the conventional problems inherent in game production were the new disasters created by an ever-evolving game engine. As it turns out, though, the Unreal Engine is a beast of near-mythical proportions. Although at first glance, it looks very much like a tarted-up version of Quake 2. It boils down to one question. Is Unreal better than Quake 2? The answer is yes, absolutely. We'll even go further. Unreal is the single best action game ever to appear on PC. Ion Storm's John Romero will be watching this carefully and no doubt taking a good look at his own Daikatana. It's hard to see how the genre can be much improved after this. Number 18, Uprising: Join or Die on PC. Ever since it released the top-rated battle sport, Cyclone Studios has carved a niche for itself as a developer with a knack for innovative ideas and cutting-edge technology. Uprising is another genre-bending title, this time combining first-person shooting and real-time strategy, doing so with such natural aplomb that it makes you wonder why it hasn't been done before. In addition to the variety found in the single-player campaign, the game supports up to 4 players over the internet or LAN. Not as many as some, but given the amount of action in a typical session, probably more than enough. This is groundbreaking gaming at its best. Fast, challenging, and beautiful. It's absolutely way beyond recommended. And finally, number 19, Virtual Pool 2 on PC. Last year's Virtual Pool was a real treat, but this year's Virtual Pool 2 is a complete stunner. To begin with, the game looks amazing. All well and good, but what makes Virtual Pool 2 such an incredible game is its dead-on accurate physics model. There might be some shots that can be made in real life that Virtual Pool can't handle, but if there is, we haven't found it yet. This is indeed a simulation of rare quality and deserves all the success it can get.
Laura's back.
Hi, thanks for watching us look at Next Generation's 5-star reviews. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we're going to be posting one of these every Friday leading up to the end of the year. We also have a playlist of the first 3 episodes and all of Next Generation's 1-star reviews, which, oh boy, is a whole lot snarkier and meaner than these 5-star reviews. You should give them a look. Now, here's the question I have for you. What is your favorite game of 1998? Was it one of these games the Next Generation loved, or was it something that they just totally slept on? Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back next week with a new Next Generation episode, plus a whole lot more stuff. While you wait for that, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,